got the script, so you don't need... I won't read this stuff in bold either.
No.
Okay?
Fab.
Are we all ready? So...
Good. Okay, so, yeah, if everybody's happy then for the rehearsal in 3, 2, 1, action.
It's busy charity shop. Johnny, early 20s, browses. He picks up an old-looking book from a box. It's a copy of Northanger Abbey, Persuasion. Johnny pulls out a couple of pound coins from his pocket and waves the book at a harassed shop assistant. He puts the coins on the counter and the shop assistant nods and takes the money. Marianne, early 20s, headphones on, reads a celebrity magazine. The train draws into Bath Spa station. Johnny sees a pretty paper carrier bag sitting on a wall. He peeps inside and seeing it is empty, he takes it and puts the book inside. Marianne's train arrives at Bath Spa station. From the seat beside her, she picks up a Georgian-style bonnet. As people stream through the exit, Johnny cranes his neck to look for Marianne. She emerges, wheeling a large, bright trolley suitcase, which she handles awkwardly. She is dressed in full Regency costume. Now she stands in front of him. They're both nervous.
Marianne?
Johnny?
You look amazing.
Why, thank you, kind sir. I've got some bridges for you in here.
Marianne's urban accent creeps through every now and again.
Oh, thanks. Oh, I've got something too.
You're not as tall as I thought you'd be. Oh, I love presents.
She takes the book from the bag and tries to conceal her disappointment.
It's a book.
It's by Jane Austen?
It's not new.
Well, no, it's vintage, like her.
Some dipshit's written in it.
They study the inscription together.
My dearest Cassandra. Oh, well, never mind. 'Tis the thought that counts.
You'll have read it already, but it will do as a souvenir for our first weekend together.
Marianne shoves it in her voluminous shoulder bag.
We staying somewhere nice then?
They start to walk.
Do you want me to have your bag?
How tall are you exactly?
I don't know, 5'8". I read Pride and Prejudice at school, I think. Or was it the other one?
What? The whole way through?
Always reading books, me.
Their voices fade as they disappear into the crowd.
So, which one's your favourite?
I like your glasses. Make you look clever. Sense and sensibility, I suppose.
Marianne stares at the hotel, unimpressed.
It says on TripAdvisor they do good breakfasts.
I'm not getting up for breakfast.
They go inside. A montage. Marianne and Johnny, uncomfortable now in breeches, pose at the fountain in Laura Place. Marianne walks regally down Great Pulteney Street. Johnny films her on her phone. Marianne reads the menu outside the pump room and Johnny pulls her away. Johnny receives a text message. Well, plus aubergine emoji. He texts back, out of my league, mate. Marianne wants to go into the shops. They look at cute postcards. In the background, a man, 20s, in a wet white shirt, strides up the grass towards his girlfriend. He stands in front of her, panting and unpleasant. She screws up her face in disgust. Liz, 50s, and Anne, 50s, dressed in Regency costumes, stroll along. Marianne sits. She texts, "Def loaded." Johnny appears with 2 ice creams and sits. He points to where a sports car is parked next to a white van.
You see that over there? I'm getting one of them.
What? The fancy red one?
No, the other one.
The van.
Comes with the job. Now I'm properly full-time. Still get to the gym though. Feel that.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah, I've worked with them for ages now. Must be nearly a year. The company, not the biceps.
I loved college. It was my first choice to go where I did.
Where exactly is Redditch?
Anne and Liz, both with takeaway coffees in reusables, stop nearby. Anne looks askance at Marianne's trainers poking out. Marianne sees and tucks her feet in. That should be Liz.
You know, there's free tea from the kiosk for people in costume.
Tea?
It doesn't have to be tea.
I liketh Coca-Cola as a beverage.
She's been talking like that on and off ever since she put the bonnet on.
Big Austen fans, are we?
We are. Well, I'm not. She is. Aren't you?
I greatly esteem her, 'tis true.
Which book's your favourite?
She likes Sense and Sensibility.
I'm Emma. She's P&P, aren't you, Anne?
I can speak, you know. Sense and Sensibility with Emma Thompson.
That's a film.
Do you know, Emma Thompson was 36 in that.
Yes, and Eleanor Dashwood was only 19. Ridiculous casting.
19? Really?
Yes, ladies were considered ancient at 25, weren't they?
25? We nearly passed it, Marianne.
Oh no, you'd be all right for years yet, dear. Quite old men would marry 16, 17-year-olds.
But you'll know that.
Did they? Nice. No, I mean, not nice. Yeah, not nice. That.
I think Alan Rickman was 48 when he was in it.
Colonel Brandon was 35.
My mum loves him, even though he's dead. Alan Rickman, I mean.
Marianne was only 16.
Not much older than you two.
I'm called Marianne.
So Colonel Brandon was younger than Emma Thompson then?
And Emma Thompson, who was really 38, was supposed to be 16 and married to Alan Rickman, who was 48, but supposed to be 35. That's a 42 years between them, if Emma had been the right age and Alan Rickman the wrong age.
I suppose so. Say it again.
No, please don't. This festival's not about films, which are, of course, a travesty and cannot possibly convey the sublimity of Jane's divine language, the subtlety and the irony.
Liz pulls Anne away.
Refer to the original text or not at all. Come on, Anne.
Enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thanks. We will.
Oh, Anne says bye.
Oh, do I? Bye.
We carry the books around with us.
Snotty cow.
Refer to all the original texts or not at all.
Johnny opens the book and reads.
The films are great. You can watch them over and over. Me and Mum on a Sunday afternoon. She used to get the Baileys out and let me have a cider. Are you listening?
Listen to this. A woman, especially if she have the misfortune, is that even grammar? Have the misfortune of knowing anything, should conceal it as well as she can. Imbecility in females is a great enhancement of their personal charms. Hilarious.
What?
That's what it says. Imbecility in females. I like smart girls myself. Like you.
Imbecility? Let me see that.
Yeah, imbecility.
She's saying women are more attractive if they're imbeciles.
Well, I think what she's actually saying...
I thought she was supposed to be a big feminist.
Hang on, there's more. The advantages of natural folly in a beautiful girl have been already set forth by the capital pen of a sister author, and to her treatment of the subject I will only add, in justice to men, that though to the larger and more trifling part of the sex, imbecility in females is a great enhancement of their personal charms, there is a portion of them too well informed to desire anything more in a woman than ignorance.
What the fuck's that supposed to mean?
You tell me. You're the brains.
It's a bloody long sentence. Who uses great big long sentences like that?
Well, they did in them days.
She's doing it to show off. Look at me with big fancy sentences.
Hey, where's the Regency speak gone? Methinks the lady forgets she is still wearing her bonnet.
She yanks off a bonnet.
Felicity Jones was in Northanger Abbey and she never said them lines. I can tell you, clever Felicity Jones is. She wouldn't spout rubbish like that.
Well, perhaps she's just...
Well, it makes you sick. Girls pretending to be thick just to catch some soppy git.
Johnny laughs, which breaks Marianne's mood, and she laughs too.
You're funny.
You're funny.
I feel daft dressed like this.
You look it and all.
I'm only wearing it for you. And I'm guessing I've read more Jane Austen than you have, even just today.
So what? You ain't loaded.
Oh, I'm a bit loaded. I've got a company van.
Not very comfy, is it? Shall we go back to the room and change?
Can't wait to get these bridges off.
Marianne thumps his arm. They run, laughing, across the lawns in slow motion. Marianne chucks the book in a hedge.
Ooh.
Thank you very much. That was good.
Actually, you know, I don't know what P&P is.
Pride and
Pride and
Prejudice.
Oh,
Yeah, I wondered as well, and then I thought, what?
double E. I thought it was just.
Pride and Prejudice.
All right, sorry. Okay.
They're such big fans. They've got acronyms, haven't they?
Yeah, but that's a useful note actually, and script-wise, Annette, you might want to build that in. You know, so they could say P&P, and you know,
E.
John could say, it's over there. No, Pride and Prejudice. You know, they have to spell it out for them.
Yeah. There was a couple of things I noticed. It should be Liz that looks askance at the trainers, not Anne. And I think the one line, is that even grammar, when he repeats have the misfortune? He doesn't need to repeat it. Was there anything that sounded clumsy?
No.
Difficult?
Yeah, there are, I think, well, I've made several script notes. We can go through them in a sec. Actors, first of all, well done. That was a good first read through. Any notes from anyone?
I don't think so, not at the moment.
No,
for me.
at the moment.
No, it's just getting the sound of the words, isn't it?
Yeah, sharpening a few things
Yeah.
up. So,
I
just to explain, let's go through it. Sorry, Annette, did you want to?
Yeah, there's just one thing. Emma, Anne is Liz is the snotty one. Anne's really friendly.
Yeah.
So she needs to be more sort of, you know,
yeah, the contrast.
Do you know what I mean? She needs to be more friendly and encouraging of them, rather
Okay, Anne,
than.
I'll give some direction. Shall I give some? Yeah, Anne, you've been in a similar situation before to Marianne and Johnny, and you recognise this kind of blossoming love affair, and so it's stirring a bit of a warm memory in you. Okay, Liz, you're a snob. You're an Austen snob, and you're an Austen fascist about it. Okay?
Quicker with the line. Yeah.
Just basically, you know, the films are a travesty, and you're going to be a real hardline Austen jihadi about it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want lines that come in stronger, then
no, it's in the delivery.
yeah.
That was very politically incorrect of me, but okay. So first of all, let's just walk through it together very quickly from the top. So just to make clear to everyone, then on page 1, essentially what we're looking at here is a series of establishing shots, which I'm imagining they can start quite abstract. So I'm seeing Johnny silhouetted against, looking out. We're inside a shop and we're looking out. We see Johnny in silhouette because he's up against the shop window, and we're cross-cutting quite quickly. So the opening shot could be a shot from on top of the train looking down at the rails. She's on a journey. We're in the carriage with her, but we never reveal. We're cross-cutting between Marianne and Johnny with a series of quick shots establishing them, and you know, seeing a quick cutaway of the bonnet on the seat next to Marianne. She picks it up, takes it out of shot. Johnny picks up the book, cut to an over-the-shoulder shot of, you know, the title of the book. So all of those transactions are taking place. We're inside the train carriage. Train pulls into Bath Spa station. We see the sign come into view, Bath Spa. Cut to exterior, Johnny's waiting. That's the first time we see Johnny and Marianne revealed fully, is when they see each other. And that's when they're their dialogue begins. So that's what's happening on page 1, and that's all cut to music. The music then kind of fades under their meeting. So,
quick suggestion, just an idea. The paper bag on the wall, I know it's a small thing, but he could actually pull it out of the bin.
Well, yes, anything like that. I think we'll have to just.
I didn't think Johnny was a thief, really, which it sort of. I know the bag's empty, but it's, you know, people do chuck things away on the platform at Bath Spa. Anyway, no, it's a tiny point.
Originally, I had it blowing down the road.
Yeah.
So I think any of those 3 things. Simon had it not at all, I think.
So one of my notes is that,
really, isn't it?
and from a filmic point of view, you know, what you don't want to get it into there is anything which needs to be explained. Basically, when is the last time you found a pretty paper bag lying on a wall? It's never happened in my life. So it's not believable. Chasing a paper bag down the road, I don't think I've ever done that either. I've had a sheltered upbringing. It's just about it's about making it happen in a very shorthand way and very believable. So what would happen in real life would be this. Johnny would be in the shop, he'd see the book, it's £10. He's only got a £5 on him, right? And his credit card, he's up to his limit, so that's maxed out. So he'd be saying to the shopkeeper, can I have it for a £5? He doesn't need to have that conversation on camera. We can just do it visually with a look. And the shopkeeper would basically go under and he'd say, have you got a bag? Again, he doesn't need to say that on camera. And we're cross-cutting quickly between him and Marianne all the time here. But what would happen in real life, and what would be quite funny, is the shopkeeper would have to kind of rummage under the desk and come up with a real shitty old brown paper bag, and that'll have to do. So it's a series of quick establishing shots.
Yeah, I think this is a rehearsal thing, isn't it? When we feel what's comfortable and
it's something I'll put into the it'll come later on. Okay, so page 2. There are some words I think we can just look at as we're going through. Johnny, bridges, she's mentioned. You don't know what the fuck bridges are, because none of us do. Then it's like, oh, I've got something for you too. You just let it go and say, I've got something for you too. Personally, I don't know what you think about this, Sarah, but I think your first reaction would be, Marianne's first reaction would be, first, I love presents. Then, as more of an afterthought, you're not as tall as you're not as tall as I thought you'd be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always write that.
Yeah, there was
that crossover thing where when someone's already on a train of thought and they say that thought before they respond to what the other person's saying.
I think it's better the other way around, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like the action is receiving a present then and there. Then it's the thought of, oh, didn't know you were that tall.
So I think here that you're not as tall as I thought. The thing is here, they've talked to each other before, but only online. I don't know what you think, but I thought it would be funnier to say something like, "You're not as tall as you look online."
Yeah.
You're not as tall as you look on Tinder or wherever it is you've met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, like you're not as tall as your pictures or something like that, or
profile.
What was it, Tinder?
It's not as tall as you. You're not as tall as you looked.
Not as tall as you look on screen.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
What that does is it establishes the fact for the viewer that you know each other, but only on screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not as tall as your profile pic, something like that.
Something like that.
A little bit.
In a way, it's what feels, what would come naturally to you, Sarah. How you'd say it.
Okay, so then moving on, it's a book. It's by Jane Austen. Johnny, you're really pleased about the fact you found this Jane Austen book. This is your thinking. This is going to give you a gold star right from the word go. Marianne, it's not new. That's disappointing. That's very disappointing news. Okay, bottom of page 2, where it says Marianne reading, my dearest Cassandra. Maybe Johnny and Marianne reading that together?
Overlapping, I think, maybe. Not in chorus.
Over the shoulder, I thought,
Yeah.
on film, you'd be looking over her shoulder, moving in a bit closer here, Johnny, and reading it over her shoulder, getting close to her.
You know who Cassandra is, don't you?
It'll
Cassandra's
be
Jane. I've read so much about Jane Austen. Cassandra is Jane Austen's beloved sister.
Okay.
So it's basically an actual authentic novel, is it?
Yeah, it's a first.
Oh!
It's a first edition that was once Jane Austen's, so it's incredibly valuable.
So she's like treating it like dog shit.
Yeah.
So that's actually an important point, which the actors wouldn't know, which I'd forgotten about, but it's really important. So how we're kind of seeing this film is that it fits into a portmanteau of 5 other films. And what happens is the book is the constant. So the characters change in each of the 6 films, but the book gets handed from one couple to another. And when Johnny first finds, this is episode 1 in this series, when Johnny finds it in the charity shop, it's there for a tenner. He's got a fiver on him, whatever, so he gets it for a fiver. It's actually worth tens of thousands of pounds because it's the first edition. So Marianne, it makes it all the funnier when you go when you're disappointed because it's not new. Okay.
Sarah, did you get that brief? Maybe you didn't get the brief because it was sent out at the earlier stage, wasn't it? About what it was.
I sent everything to everyone.
I got
it.
it.
All right. Maybe you didn't get it. Yeah.
I just probably didn't read it properly. Sorry.
Okay, so moving on to page 3, and please stop if anyone wants to chip in here. Johnny, top of page 3. Obviously, you're going to assume that she's read it already because Marianne has sold herself to you as this Jane Austen expert.
Right, yeah. And that's like kind of the whole reason why we're there or going to this festival.
Yeah, you're assuming she's this expert in Austen, and has read everything and knows everything. So that's behind what you're saying here at the top of page 3. You're assuming that she's read it already.
It's a bit spelled out, really, but I think if you don't say it, you're missing the opportunity to say you've assumed. It's a bit of exposition, really.
Johnny, what's happening here is we won't get into it right now, but we'll discuss it after the next read through. It's about people's objectives and what the objectives for each of the characters are, really. And I think, Johnny, you want to please her, clearly. In this opening exchange, you're trying hard to please her. So although you recognise that obviously she will have read it already, you're just hoping that you've got a brownie point here.
Yeah.
By doing this kind thing.
It's like almost like a throwaway kind of comment, like, oh, I know you would have read it already because I pay attention to you so much and I know everything about you, kind of thing.
That she knows that I know you'll have read it already because you're the expert, because you've read everything and you're this Jane Austen buff. Little do you know at this point, she's only ever seen the films, and that's what she's really into. So what it's about to me, and as I say, we'll get into this conversation later, what it's about is how people present themselves and the idea of pretending and pretense and acting, because to me, what's at the heart of this piece is just when I do think that Johnny and Marianne connect at the end, but it's when they become their real selves. So it's just about being yourself. And they fail to connect and they can't find each other because they're pretending to be someone they're not. Marianne is selling herself as partly as this Jane Austen expert, and of course that's what Johnny assumes that's true, but really for Marianne, she just loves the films, and you know what? That's fine. So moving on, the following exchange on page 3 then, which takes place, is kind of with I'm seeing a long shot there of the 2 characters walking away from camera, and their voices are gradually fading. We'll probably bring a bit of music in here under that to resolve the end of that scene. Marianne, your how tall are you exactly? The stress on the word are there.
How tall are you exactly?
Yeah. I personally, I don't get, Annette, I don't get Johnny's line here. I'm always reading books. Me, that confuses me. I don't know what the...
He's just desperate to impress, really. He's trying to, yeah, he just wants to impress her. He wants to make himself sound that he's like her too, that he's...
Okay, well, I think a lot of that can be done through action. And I think a lot of that the actors will do in their interaction together, you know, through movement and the way they exchange with each other. Personally, I'd lose that line.
And also, when you first meet someone that you're quite keen on, you say stupid things as well, don't you?
Yeah, but that specifically, it gives us information about Johnny's character. Which I'm gonna have to, you know, if you want that line in, my question to you is going to be, all right. My question would be, okay, so Johnny's very well read then, is he? That's what that suggests. Is he well read? It just confuses me.
It has to be a bullshitting line. It has to be clear that it's bullshit, doesn't it? I suppose.
So
I suppose you kind of
develop that.
Yeah. He does say.
Oh, really? So what have you read? You know, and then it takes us somewhere we don't need to go. You know.
No.
Instead, I would suggest something like, "How tall are you exactly?" I don't know, 5'8".
Does there need to be maybe like a noise, like a noise from Sarah then, of kind of like, like are you 5'8"? Because I'm standing next to you and I'm pretty sure
you're not.
And then, in a way,
can I suggest here? Yeah, we can play with that. But I also would suggest, because don't forget, we're sort of seeing the characters walking away from us, and this conversation is sort of tailing off under that long shot. So I'm going to suggest we have Johnny saying, I don't know, 5'8". I read Pride and Prejudice at school, I think. Marianne says, what, the whole way through? And Johnny says, or was it the other one?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that works better, doesn't it? Because...
you get that, Max?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
right.
it does the same. It's, yes, there was two lines doing the same job. One that he's trying to impress her by his, you know, the fact he's read something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then to me, that's the end of scene, and I don't think we need the next. Which one's your favourite? I like your glasses. It's the same thing again.
Yeah, except that it's Johnny later on that says Sense and Sensibility is your favourite. So.
But they could have discussed that.
Yeah.
They've spent half a day together. If you feel that's important, we have to lose the previous Pride and Prejudice. You know, you have one, but not the both.
Yeah.
Is the usual thing with a joke.
I think that's a good point though, Simon. In a way, like when it makes it more impressive later on that he says that without prompt from the film that he's been listening prior.
Yes,
yeah, exactly. And what it implies is that for us, the viewer, that tells us that Johnny and Marianne have had time together, and Johnny's taken the time to have those conversations and find out more about her. Yeah, time's moved on. Okay, good. Fine. So moving on, page 4. So how I imagine we'll shoot this montage on page 4 is we're going to do some messing about on location in Bath. Once we find ourselves in front of wherever it is, the Royal Crescent or something, there'll be tourists there, and we can play with that situation and just do a bit of improv in front of the tourists and maybe have some conversations, and it's going to be cut to music, and we'll play on the day. But Johnny, I'm thinking clearly I'm imagining, Johnny, that never in your wildest dreams until you met this woman did you ever imagine yourself dressing up as Mr. Darcy. So this is going to be a bit foreign to you.
Brilliant.
Now, as time goes on location, perhaps, Johnny, because, you want to impress her, and because, well, we can talk about your objectives later, but clearly I think, it's pretty clear what your main objective is here. Then you'd be trying to get into character, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Trying out a bit of Regency posing.
I'd do anything to woo the lady.
Some Regency posing.
Exactly.
You do it all the time anyway, don't you, Max? Regency posing.
Yeah, I feel like that's my constant pose, actually. A bit of Austin.
This is default position.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Scripting wise, second half of page 4, we're going to need to look at this. It's like the montage, the opening montage at the start of the film. This kind of texting business that needs to be sharpened up a bit, because there is no indication in the script that would lead Marianne to think he's definitely loaded.
No, there isn't. You're right.
No.
Could
So.
be.
One way to do that would be that Johnny would return with the ice creams and say, "See that over there? I'm getting one of them." There needs to be, this is a job for the producer, production manager, we need to get a nice shiny sports car parked next to a white van. Marianne assumes he's pointing to the sports car. Then she texts her mum saying, "I reckon he's loaded." And then Johnny can say something like, "Yeah, company vehicle."
It's quite tricky to fit a text in a bit of dialogue, isn't it?
So what you'd have is so Johnny, you come back with the ice creams. See that over there? I'm getting one of them. Cut away to their point of view over their shoulder of red sports car parked next to white van.
And then the text.
Lose Marianne's "what the fancy one," and you put the text in there.
Right.
"Mum, I reckon he's loaded."
It might not be necessary to have the text. What do you?
So how do you resolve that joke? So now, if you have the text, what happens now is that Johnny thinks Marianne is someone she's not, and Marianne now thinks Johnny is someone he's not.
Yeah, but it's only momentarily that she thinks that he's loaded, isn't it? It's literally.
Well, it's for the rest of the piece until the very end.
Well, no, because she's getting a van.
If he tells her it's a van, but does he have to tell her it's a van? I would drop the next lines. "What the fancy one? No, the other one, the van." Lose all that.
Oh,
Leave
yeah.
Marianne under the misconception that he is loaded.
Yeah. So the audience will pick that up, won't they? They'll know.
Well,
We will know that he's
You
referring.
can do, "Mum, I reckon he's loaded," and do some sports car emojis.
Yeah.
Close up of a cutaway of the mobile phone screen. Or do it Sherlock style, where you have the text actually on screen. You see Marianne texting, and you put the text on screen.
Yeah, do the keyboard clicks.
So if we lose the lines, "What the fancy red one? No, the other one, the van," lose all that. Johnny, coming back to you at the top of page 5, instead of "comes with the job," I would say, "Yeah, company vehicle."
Yeah.
Just quickly going back to the whole ice cream thing, could there be some visual gags in that?
Yeah, go on.
Just like, because Annette, you said that Marianne's quite like, she's trying to be someone that she's not, like quite middle class, so she'd be quite sloppy eating the ice cream. Yeah, something along those lines.
Like,
and then that whole like fumbling, like, oh, you got something here, maybe, kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe like just before or just after Johnny says, where exactly is Redditch? Just before Anne and Liz were introduced, just Sarah's just covered in ice cream, just all around.
Good.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Because we might not even need to see Sarah eating or Marianne eating badly. We just need to see the aftermath.
Yeah, we can just do that as a sort of quick cut. So we'll bring Liz and Anne in, see them on a 2-shot. Cut back to Johnny and Marianne. Marianne's with the ice cream on her face. Okay, good.
Not too
much. Marianne, just thinking about your character here. So Redditch, Birmingham, working class girl whose absolute dream it is you're living the dream here, coming to Bath, the home of Jane Austen, but also as I see your character, you are putting on airs and graces because you're an honest working class girl, but you're aspiring to something better in life. And to you, this is what Austen represents, is kind of, upward mobility. But you can't betray your working class roots. And Johnny, how are you going to react when you see the ice cream on her face? You're a working class lad as well, Johnny?
Yeah, I'll probably just be a bit confused because of what she's trying to portray, but probably just laugh it off or just be pleasantly surprised in a way.
Or maybe you could either indicate to her secretly, to help her.
Yeah.
Or maybe it depends how you feel when we start rehearsing in the same room. Maybe that's another moment where it's an opportunity to get a bit closer, Johnny, and you could take a tissue and just help to wipe a bit off. That would be a gentlemanly thing to do.
Or it might be gentlemanly to ignore it.
Or perhaps there's an indication that like you said, Simon, I'm going to do it. And then once Liz and Anne come in, Marianne realises that she wants to be, these people clearly know what they're talking about. They speak the way they're, dressed, whatever. And she, like Sarah, almost snatches it off herself and dabs it like a little, or opposite, just forgets about the tissue and just wipes it straight away.
Smacks her hand away.
Okay, so this is Max and Sarah. This is something that you could play with, but yeah, it's a great idea to bring a bit of physical comedy in there.
I also saw it as a bit of a lead into talking. If Liz is a cold bitch, why does she care where they should go get tea and coffee? But when you see that mucky pup who's dressed up, and she sees this, she gives her a good up and down look. Ice cream on the face, shoes sticking out. You could drink tea,
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
That's a good point, actually, and it's a good point. And I wonder if we need a different line there, to be honest, Annette, because it doesn't. What she's saying. What's the point of the tea and the kiosk and where is that taking us? Hold that thought, because just coming back to the ice cream, again, just another option to throw in here. And I think Sarah and Max, is up to you to play with this and work out what's best. But Liz and Anne, you're middle class. You're very comfortable in the world of Jane Austen. You live in Bath. This is your milieu. Marianne and Johnny, you're young working class people from very different parts of the world. And when you come here, you're a bit like kind of fish out of water, but you're socially mobile and you've got every right to kind of be here. But you could, so what you could do here, maybe something like this, when Marianne's got the ice cream on her face, Johnny could be like sort of, allow me, madam, and sort of, and he could either wipe it off like you wipe a kid's face or something like that. or like you say, he could sort of gently dab, and then Marianne kind of goes, give it here, that sort of thing. Yeah. Okay, good. And then we bring Liz and we cut then to the 2-shot of Liz and Anne coming in. Okay, so we need a stronger line there, and that.
Yeah, and Liz, So Liz, if you, Vicky, if you think you're an Austin snob, and you come along and you see this young person with ice cream all over the face, what would you say?
I don't believe that ice cream was invented in Jane Austen's time. I don't think they partook for obvious reasons.
Is there a line in, if anyone is more familiar with Jane Austen than I am, is there a line that maybe one of the characters says in the book that would be appropriate to say to Marianne now, like some sort of, I don't know, one's face must be clean all the time? Obviously, that's not a quote from any of the books, but that kind of thing.
Yeah, yes, I think that's a good suggestion, because it would be a chance for Liz to show off a quote.
Right.
Well, you can also, and it's going to be along the lines of, she must have said something about cleanliness, mustn't she?
Mm. Yeah.
And she can just spout that one-line quote, like a real kind of put down.
So yes, that's a good suggestion. And once she said that line, then
the others will
depending
change.
on the content of that line, what else will follow. But
exactly.
Marianne just needs to say something then that's pseudo Georgian. Yeah,
that whole kind of like Coca-Cola that would be really funny. Let's keep it as it is for now, because we'll need to go, that's
I'll need to find a quote,
yeah. Okay, so Johnny's, she's been talking like that on and off since she's put the bonnet on. Big Austen fans are we? Johnny, I think Johnny is, the difference between Johnny and Marianne in terms of their relationship, to me, is that Marianne, not in a kind of cynical or any kind of malicious way, is pretending to be someone she's not, because she's a working class girl and she aspires to something better. And she's putting on this kind of, she's kind of sold herself as the Austen expert, which Johnny has bought, hook, line and sinker. But Johnny makes, also a working class lad, makes no pretenses about, he's got nothing to hide, and I think feels very confident in himself in this world. It's clearly, I think he kind of looks on it as a bit kind of comical, and you can imagine the conversations he can have with his mates when he gets back home about all these Jane Austen people and stuff. But for now, where he says, big Austen fans are we are, well, I'm not, she is. That's just him. That shows his honesty to me. He's not pretending anything here, and he honestly believes that she is. So now Marianne's on the spot.
Well, he's indulging her as well, isn't he? He's indulging her for his own motives.
Well, he wants her to enjoy it, because this is really a meaningful thing to her, and they've come here on their first date because Johnny knows it's really important, and it's a big deal for Marianne. And at the end of the day, that's to do with his objectives and what he wants from Marianne. So, I greatly esteem her, 'tis true. That's a great line. I think Anne would say, which book is your favourite, or which is your favourite book?
Mm. Yeah.
Which one's your favourite?
Which is your favourite book? They're middle class. Which one's your favourite? She wouldn't...
Which one's your
Bit
favourite?
too informal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
which is your favourite?
And it's all...
Oh, which one's your favourite? It's much, she's quite, oh, which one's your favourite then?
Patronising, isn't it?
Yes.
Mm.
Well, is it patronising or is it...
No, I think she's trying to be quite nice, isn't she? She's trying to be quite warm, and that could be said in a warm tone.
Yes.
Oh, which is your favourite book?
I think she's chummy. I agree with that. And I think that her so-called friend, these people aren't part of our clique.
Yeah.
I've got to control you a little bit, Anne, because
you
know what you're
it's like elbow in the rib, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are you doing talking to them? Don't be too formal with them.
You can speak to anyone in the street.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, Anne, you and Liz are friends. because she's an old friend, and you'll kind of tolerate Liz's very hardline fascist approach to Austin, but actually you can really relate to these two young lovers who are just, you know, you really relate to that situation. So which one's your favourite? You're trying to be, what needs to have happened before which one's your favourite is that Liz needs to have kind of put them down a bit and put them in their place and shown her snobby, prejudiced character, and you're trying to kind of you're warming to them and trying to bring them into this circle.
It's almost an apology for my friend.
Yeah.
You know,
I think in that case, I think going back when they when they encounter them for the first time and Marianne's got her ice cream on her face, it needs to be Liz that looks at them disparagingly and Anne that speaks to them first, because she's the friendly one. So Liz
wouldn't Liz say, but Liz has got to, haven't we got to see Marianne, cut back to Liz and Anne. Liz has got to really sort of shoot her down with a put down, and it's got to be that direct quote from Austin: cleanliness is next to godliness. Then that gives Anne the motivation to step in and try to kind of broker this situation.
Yeah, I've got a picture in my head of how that needs to play out, because almost Liz could say it sort of not to them, but about them, so they can hear. So, you know, do you know what I mean? So
don't overthink it. Just find the line from Austin to do with cleanliness. The actors will make it work. Okay, Marianne, when Anne is asking about which is your favourite book, you're still stuffing your face with ice cream there, or you're kind of wipe it off or something, which is why Johnny answers for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then Liz. I'm Emma. She's P and P, aren't you, Anne? And I think we need that explained, as we mentioned earlier.
So it could be, I'm Emma, Pride and Prejudice.
or would I explain it, do you think? Because I want to help out and rescue.
Yeah, you would.
I might go in and say, Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Sort of rescue them a little.
Liz, if they're real Austin fans, of course they'll know what P and P means. But Anne, because you're the more, you know, the human face of the Jane Austen clique, you're helping these two young people out. Is there a line for Johnny in there? So, or even for Marianne? So I'm Emma, she's P and P, and it's something about the toilets are over there, or?
Yes. I don't need a bloody toilet, I just want a towel.
Should we give that to Johnny? The toilets are over there, or is it a better line? Is it?
If someone said to you,
is it Marianne saying I could do with a P, or?
Yeah, it's almost, it needs to be kind of like really quick, like really.
I'm dying to pee too, because it's almost like misheard. I'm P and P. You almost like I'm dying to pee too, or something like that, or
yeah,
like I went before.
Marianne, could you say that confidentially to Johnny, not for the other two to overhear? Actually, I could do a P.
Yeah.
So Marianne, so when Liz says she's P and P, Marianne says,
as an aside to Johnny, actually I could do with a P, or something along those lines. Anne, can you follow up with it's Pride and Prejudice? Just explain.
Explain.
Pride and Prejudice. That's all you need to say, Anne. Explaining and helping and reassuring them.
Yeah.
Johnny, when she said Pride and Prejudice, could you say, Oh, I think I've read that one. Oh, I think that's the one I've read, which
Yeah.
picked up from the back of the earlier comment.
Yeah.
Well, you could say, is she? Not realising it's a book. So I think she's talking about her friend. Never mind.
That's an interesting one. Pride and Prejudice. Maybe then, Anne, you say Pride and Prejudice, but after Prejudice, you just kind of do a bit of a look for them towards Liz.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll shoot that on a close-up of you then, Anne, and we'll see that look. Now,
So when Anne said Pride and Prejudice, Johnny should say, oh yeah, that's the,
that's the one I've read. Oh, or that's the one I've read. Oh no, hang on. It's just whatever feels natural there. It's just linking back to that earlier when he first met Marianne conversation. Or was it the other one? Oh, I get confused. They're all the same, aren't they?
we have to be. I think we have to be a bit careful that we don't have too much between which book's your favourite and with Marianne saying it's Sense and Sensibility.
Well, how about this? Anne says Pride and Prejudice. Johnny, I think that's the one I've read. Or was it the other one? Oh, they're all a bit the same, aren't they?
Yeah, and then all three ladies could actually just have
We're united, aren't we? Completely, like what?
Yeah, you could have a moment where they all gasp, in tandem, and then or not. What's the right word? Like in canon, like Liz goes first, then it's Anne, and then almost like a delayed from Marianne, as if that's not like it's like, oh God, awful. Yeah, shouldn't say that.
Exactly. Marianne, you're going to save the situation here by coming back in with, well, my favourite is Sense and Sensibility.
One with Emma Thompson.
With Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
With a beat in between.
Yeah. Like proud that she knows who the actresses are as well.
Yeah.
Would Johnny think they're all the same because he's not read them, has he? He would think he might think that all old books are the same.
Yeah, I think it's more. I don't think he's commenting on Jane Austen books as a thing. I think it's just more like very stereotypically, if a guy was to go shopping and they go, oh, all the clothes look the same. It's just like they're all. It's just the fact that he doesn't know and he's not that arse.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, what kind of books would you normally read? I'm guessing it's going to be something like Andy McNab action books.
Yeah.
Oh, the Argos catalogue.
Right. So, they're all the same. That means Austen, Dickens, Shakespeare, and anyone more than about 10 years old. Like folks in bridges and top hats and all the rest of it. They're all the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Then Marianne sort of comes back in and saves this awkward situation because Johnny's just made a bit of a tit himself by saying something he shouldn't. Marianne, you're going to save the situation with, well, my favourite is Sense and Sensibility with Emma Thompson. Liz, this is just, she's just poisoned your guinea pig.
That is a film.
So,
that's a film. That is.
Then we get into. Sorry?
She's exposed herself for what she obviously is.
Well, it's just, you won't have that kind of talk around here because it's a film and this is all about darling Jane and her books, Yeah. You think these two clearly, I think, Liz, these two are clearly plebs and they shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So we then get into this whole conversation about who was what age and everything. I suggest we run it again for now as it is, but I think it's way too long. It goes on for over a page. So Annette, I think we need to look at that.
Yeah. One of the things that I've borne in mind with all the work with the work I've done on it is some connection with what Jane Austen thought was important, and age was something that was considered an important thing when you come to choosing a husband or a wife. And so I think some of it is Jane Austen fans will pick up on. It has to stand up on its own anyway, but there are extra bits in for Jane Austen fans, I think. So that was the why it kind of runs on a bit.
Okay, that's fair enough. And in-jokes can be really effective. And I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying that in a 10-minute film, so much has to be about economy. And currently, the script is great. It's working really, really well. But it's 10.5 pages long. A 10-minute film should be, shorter than that. And also, we have to allow time for. That's basically. There's a lot of dialogue which we need to strip out to allow more time for acting. So something has to go, and this whole section here, I absolutely understand the point about age being crucial in Jane Austen. I think it could be said more economically, personally, but we can run it as it is for now. That's fine.
Absolutely. It's which bit really, because the confusing bit that Marianne says at the end. Emma Thompson's 38, supposed to be 16. Marianne Richmond 48, supposed to be 35. It's supposed to be a confusing lot of nonsense because she's totally confused by it.
Absolutely, I think we can do it quicker.
Yeah,
I think we can. It will be confusing. You can achieve exactly the same effect that you want, but we can do it with less words.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that might be an ad libbing. What's it situation? An improvisation situation.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So on to page 8. Johnny, you're waving Northanger Abbey at them and saying, we carry the books around with us. They're walking away here, Johnny, and you're shouting after them. It's almost as if like...
we carry the books around with us. That's how serious we are.
Yeah, you're trying to kind of help save the situation here, Johnny.
Yeah.
By letting them know that, look, we've got a book. At least we've got a book.
Yeah, where's your book?
Okay, Marianne. So after Liz and Anne have exited,
we need to.
So he sort of he mimics Liz. Then he opens the book and reads. Marianne, your lines here. The films are great. Convincing, Johnny. You're trying to convince Johnny here. And you're reiterating here, Marianne, that so far as you're concerned, do you care what Liz and Anne think of you, Marianne?
No.
I don't think you do, because you're a genuine person. Okay, you're dressed up and and we've entered the world of Jane Austen. It's just a bit of fun. You're a genuine, honest person, and I don't think you see anything wrong in like loving the films.
And do you think her working class title, as it were, will kind of come into play? Because there's definitely a power balance between the two ladies and Marianne. So do you think she could be quite defensive?
Well, how would you be, Marianne, with them? So you've got on the one hand Liz, who we need to make her like a kind of who's the woman in who's the female character in The Importance of Being Earnest? A handbag. So that's Liz, as I see her. She's really kind of this incredibly sort of Austen snob. So you need to think, Mary, and you've got Anne, who is also clearly very much at home in the world of Jane Austen, but has clearly been much more friendly to you two, and reaching out to try and sort of diffuse the situation. So Marianne, you need to ask yourself, how do you really feel when confronted with these two characters, and particularly Liz? What do you think of Liz, Marianne?
What do I think of Liz?
Yeah.
I'd say like very snotty. Maybe I'd be a bit of a kiss ass to her at first, because I'm like, oh, I respect her, but then it's just air, isn't it?
As a working class girl, you might want to try to make the first impression,
Yeah,
a good first impression. But when you can see that that's going to have no effect on Liz, she's just too pompous and she takes herself way too seriously. I think pretty early on, there'd come a turning point for you where you'd think, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah.
I think, if I might chip in there, that something happened that has made you want to come to this festival. It's your interest, and you've probably seen the website which you felt was inviting you in. And there's a thing about Bath, isn't there? People think that if you come to Bath, you're going up a level for a day, and you want to play that game. You want to feel nice for the day. And somehow this bitch that you've met in the street, her immediate message is, this isn't for you. You shouldn't be joining this club. Fuck off, you know. And you're what? Well, why the hell should you? You know, kind of, you know, one says, fine, yeah, it's a festival, let's all join in, you know, and the other says, no, you know. So I think that's going to be playing a part, isn't it?
Exactly. This is where we come into backstories. And to me, Marianne, you know, you're from Birmingham. Sounds like it's you and your mum at home. She's raised you as a single parent. You absolutely love your mum. And the fact that you've shared these special moments, you and your mum together, of watching these Jane Austen films, that's your sacred thing. That's you, and for you and your mum, those are inviolable, beautiful, sacred, special moments you've had together watching these films. And how dare this pompous bloody woman, you know, shoot him down. So when you turn to Johnny, the films are great. You mean that.
Yeah.
And you make no apology for that. And I think you're beginning to realise by this point, Marianne, because you never said, I've read all the books. You never said, you know, I'm an English literature expert who knows it inside out. You're here as a genuine working class girl who is aspiring to just be a part of that Austen world because it's attractive, it's fun. And why not have a bit of make-believe? Because you come from Birmingham, where it's grey and dirty and messy and busy. And, you know, you deserve to have a part of this, a piece of this Jane Austen world as much as anyone else.
Yes.
I think that's your mindset. And if Liz is not going to, if she's going to be unfriendly to you, I think pretty soon as a kind of a Birmingham street kid, you'd be thinking to yourself, oh, to hell with you then. Yeah. I'm going to enjoy myself anyway.
Oh, beautiful. That's what you'd say.
And the idea of painting that picture of you and your mum, watching them, Simon's absolutely right. It was a really special time, just because it happened frequently. But they were the sort of the nicest memories of your growing up, was when you and your mum watched the films. And they weren't all Jane Austen ones; they just like period drama. So, and does that come across quite clearly that they?
Well, it can now. I think if we've got that straight, you know, and it feels very believable that Marianne, you and your mum, I think it's got to be Jane Austen specifically. And I mean, of course, it's Mr. Darcy with his shirt getting out of the lake. And it has to be, it's got to be, because the dream, Marianne, your dream has always been to come to Bath. And not only do you now find yourself in Bath, but it's in the full costume. And you're going to absolutely suck up every moment of this and really enjoy it. Okay, good. So moving on, page 9. Marianne, maybe you could say, instead of a big feminist, I thought she was supposed to be a bloody feminist.
Yeah.
The language is starting to come out now, Marianne. You're not having this. Okay, Johnny, hang on, there's more. This next quote, Annette, is too long.
Yes, yes, it is, because it has to be said very, very quickly, and it's not an easy thing to say very quickly.
There's too much meaning in there, and it's in a short film. It's too much for us to take in. We've got to cut to the chase here. I'm going to suggest starting maybe at, I will only add injustice to men.
Well, the thing is, we've got a repeat of imbecility in females, and I think I can find something else that doesn't repeat imbecility.
Okay, something that says the same thing, but it's got to be shorter, or we need to edit that down, or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Or he can paraphrase. He could say, hang on a minute, there's more here. What she actually says is, get the sense of this, there's a portion of them too well informed.
The advantage of natural folly in a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
Already been
It could go like injustice to men, that through to the larger and more trifling part of the sex imbecility in females is a great enhancement of their personal charms. It's just that little bit in there is the gist of the meaning anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right in the middle. It's about 3 lines.
Annette, how would you paraphrase that in a sentence? What she's saying there?
I think the advantages of natural folly, there's such Jane Austen way of expressing herself. The advantage of natural folly in a beautiful girl have already been set forth by the capital pen of a sister author, and he can sort of burble some of them to himself and then come back with...
Right. So complete this sentence, Annette, for Johnny. Hang on a minute. What she's actually saying is, how would you paraphrase what Jane's point is there? It's okay to be an imbecile if you.
Well, because it makes you more attractive to men if you're not educated or you're an imbecile.
So
I'll find something similar that's because it's a certain passage in Northanger Abbey when all this goes on.
It's just, if it's confusing us and we can't paraphrase it, then the viewer's not going to have a bloody clue, you know.
Except that is the joke that, you know.
It's not going to come across on film.
But do you know what I mean, though? That's the whole thing, is that.
Could it be like, could you do like, hang on, there's more? And like you said, he's like muttering quick under his breath and he says all the anti-feminist things. So like beautiful girl, enhancement, kind of things that like sexualize a woman. Kind of thing, do you know what I mean? And then it's like, Marianne's like, what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even, I mean, the thing about the repeat, I know you said there's a repeat and stuff. I don't necessarily think that's that bad a thing, and like what Vicky just said, I think that section there where she just says imbecility in females is a great enhancement of their personal charms. In a way, Johnny could be saying that as if he thinks it's like a good thing, like, oh, like don't worry about it, kind of thing. Like,
right.
I mean, we all know this, yeah? Yeah, we get it.
Can I suggest then for this next read through, how we do it is this. Marianne's line, I thought she was supposed to be a bloody feminist. So Johnny, hang on, there's more. Now, when we do this next read through, Max, read this. Hang on, my dog's kicking off now. Read. Hang on a second. Give me a second.
I need.
Shut up!
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Seems to be effective.
Glad that's a recording.
Sorry to interrupt, but I need to go. If you remember, I said I was taking a lunch hour, so I'm really enjoying this, and I don't want to go actually. So, is it all right if I pop off now? Or?
Of course it is, Emma.
Bye, Emma.
Well, lovely, really nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Sorry I couldn't stay, but that damn day job gets in the way. Really lovely to meet you, and it's fabulous.
Really nice to meet you. Thank you, Emma.
Say thank you to Simon, please, as well.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers. Thank you. Bye all.
Bye.
Right. Okay. The dog's shut up.
Simon, I've got to go.
Lovely to meet you. Cheers,
Yeah,
Emma. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I'm back with you. Yeah, what I was going to say is, Johnny, so for this read through, hang on, there's more. If you basically just kind of skip through this, so you're kind of almost reading it aloud in your head, but just actually say the odd word or phrase, Max.
Yeah, okay, I can definitely try that.
Really
And perhaps even the last, just a triumphant in the end. Too well informed to desire anything more in a woman than ignorance. So
just skip through it, Max, for this time. So it's the odd word, the odd phrase, because what you're trying to do here, Johnny, is you're trying to kind of, because Marianne is beginning to lose it here. This is not going as she'd hoped, and these two women, particularly Liz, you know, they've really pissed her off now, and you're trying to kind of save the situation a bit here, Max. And of course, but you know, and prevent Marianne from sort of getting too incandescent with anger. And at the end of it, so he's doing his best, Marianne. It's just, Johnny's just a bloke and he's trying to do his best here. But when you come back in with, give it a beat after he looks to you, sort of as if hoping that he's fixed this situation by saying, look, what I think Jane Austen actually really meant was this, you know, calm down. You're going to be like, well, we can see what that line says there. What the fuck's that supposed to mean? You're not having any of this. You're pissed off. Okay, good. Maybe then, Marianne, it's a bloody long sentence. I don't feel like we need the next line. Who uses a big long sentence like that? It's a bloody long sentence is all it is what it is.
yeah.
Okay.
So Johnny's line would be, it's a bloody long sentence. So Johnny's line doesn't make sense now. So that's how they spoke. That's how.
Still a pretty big line. Not a bloody long sentence, but you could say.
Who says stuff like that?
You could just say instead of sentence like load of big. Oh no, you say something about load of big words before, don't you? Actually,
you say it's a bloody long sentence is all it is. Johnny, well, that's how they spoke in them days.
Yeah, just.
Or back in the day. There's another way of putting it, isn't there?
That's how. Back in the day, that's.
In the day. She used to do that.
So they spoke back in the day.
Back in the day, that's.
Okay. Yeah, page 10. Okay, Marianne. Felicity Jones was in Northanger Abbey and she never said them lines, I can tell you. I don't think we need the rest of that. But then
Yeah.
Lose the rest of it. I can tell you. Johnny, well, perhaps you just, yeah, that's fine. Okay, and then bottom of page 10. Is I feel daft dressed like this. Is stupid a better word?
Or just even, if that point, like, guards down, they're both laughing about it. They said, you're funny, there's that beat. And then almost just completely cut the tone, just say, I feel like a twat in this. Like, just really undercut everything that's been before. Because that will be the first time that Johnny's kind of not sworn, but said some sort of obscenity.
Yeah.
Johnny's actually been very nice to her, hasn't he? He's
Yeah.
really tried to. He's really feeling his way through all this, and very uncertain about what's going on, really. And
Well,
he has been very nice to her.
Johnny, what's your objective? For
Peach
the whole
emoji.
piece? Sorry?
I said peach emoji, but Sarah, Marianne is my objective to try and you know, I've booked a hotel for a reason, basically. That's what we're trying to get at.
So at the start of this piece, we'll talk about this a bit in a little bit more. Is everyone else okay for time, by the way?
Yeah.
So we can talk about, it's important to talk about this at the end of the next read through. Johnny, I'm going to suggest your objective, and we'll talk about the journeys of each of the characters. Mm-hmm. I think your journey at the start of this, Johnny, your main objective is to get your leg over with a posh bird.
Yeah.
And that's who you think Marianne is.
Yeah.
At some point during this action, at some point during this piece, you realise Marianne is not a posh bird. But do you care about that? No. I don't think so, because I think what happens is that you're still two people who are more real, although you're pretending and you're wearing the costume. As people, you're more real than the Liz's of this world and the people who put on pretensions and really take themselves seriously. Because I think you two, as city kids, as street kids, you don't take yourself all that seriously. So at some point, Johnny, your objective changes slightly. You still want to get your leg over, but you can see through Marianne and you realise who she is, and you still like her and fancy her.
Yeah, maybe it's like this time I want to get a leg over, and then maybe, you know, go for a second date, that kind of thing.
Well, I think you realise, Johnny, once you realise she's not a posh bird, it's because you realise, you know, you're both one and the same. You come from the same social class.
Yeah.
You recognise each other. You're familiar with each other. You're working class kids.
There's a bit more in it, really, isn't there?
Well, that's how I read it.
Mm.
Absolutely, that you're actually more comfortable with her now.
It's like,
you know, if you go into, or any of us, if you walk into a room and there's a party, let's say, or, you know, some kind of reception, and it looks like it's not your normal world, or you meet a new bunch of people and you think, well, blimey, you know, gosh, they're all a bit posh. You know, I remember the first time I ever had to go, when my kids were little, the first time I had to go into a golf club, you know, as a school do for the golf club. And these people have got airs and graces, and you think, wow, blimey, well, perhaps, you know, this really is a bit sort of out of my league. But pretty soon you realise, you know what, it's just bloody pretense. And you connect with people in the room who you know and you're familiar with. And what you do is you say, well, bollocks this is, isn't it? And that's what Marianne and Johnny do. They find each other. At the end, they find each other, and they...
Yeah. That's a very common experience, isn't it? When you go into something, you feel it, initially you feel very impressed. You think, oh, these people are very impressive. And then you think, no, they're not. They're just boring.
It's just pretentious bollocks, is what it is. And generally, working class people from a city, they know real from make-believe. And there's nothing wrong with make-believe, as long as you don't believe it, you know, fully, and take yourself too seriously. As long as you want to do it for fun and for play and for all the right reasons and just enjoy it for what it is, it's fine. And I think that's what Marianne's doing. Okay, so I feel like a twat. Yeah, you look at an all.
Yeah, when my daughter and I looked at this last bit, we really struggled with it, because it's such an important part of the thing. The first draft I did was too, you know, it was too choppy, because they go from talking about how they're dressed to Johnny saying, I've read more Jane Austen than you have, too suddenly. And we didn't bother very hard, because we thought we were going to be talking about.
We can edit it down. I think it's simply a case in that of too many words and too many different thoughts and you know.
It might not. I'm guessing I've read more Jane Austen than you have. It's kind of doesn't even need to be said, does it?
Would it be possible to cut that line when you say I'm only wearing it for you? Could Marianne or someone say, oh, like it cost a fair bit, unlike your van, or whatever?
Well,
like
exactly. We can. Humour will be a good thing to bring in here and make a joke. But the main business here that we can't deflect from is this is the climax of the film where Marianne and Johnny find each other and recognise each other for who they really are. Two genuine, honest, young working class people who are up for a bit of fun, and they can drop the pretense. The pretense is dropped here. So I would suggest something like, I feel like a twat, you look at and all, I'm only doing it for you.
Yeah. That's the point, isn't it?
And Marianne says...
Maybe there's a line after that that's something like, after I was only doing it for you. And then Marianne kind of is like a bit introspective about it and goes, I bet you're not very impressed with this, with your, you know, your fancy car and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, mine's the van kind of thing. And that's the lead into that reveal about the van.
Do we need to get into specifics? Or can we say something like, I mean, I think the van and the car would be really useful here. We just need to be careful about, find the most elegant way to bring it in. So if it's, I'm only doing it for you, Marianne could say, you're not loaded at all here. And you could say, Johnny, I got a van.
Yeah.
I got a company van. Oh, what about, I got a company vehicle. Marianne says, yeah, that sports car. What do you mean sports car? The van.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sports car looks amazing.
I kind of like the idea that Marianne's worked it out earlier.
Okay, fine.
Because this is the time when he's realised that she's not.
It'd just be sarcastic then. Yeah, that sports car. Or like,
Okay, if that's going to happen then, Marianne, I think what needs to happen is going back to where we see the sports car and the van, which was page 4.
Yeah, it's page 4.
On the page 4. See that over there? I'm getting one of them. Marianne. Oh, wow.
And then you could
then it's got to be Johnny. Yeah, I know. And it's going to be something like, yeah, look at the capacity on that thing. It's, you know, I can get all my tools in the back and I can, yeah.
You can do a lot in the back of a van.
Exactly. The voice of experience.
Definitely not. I've seen films about it.
So, Max, are you happy with that? So, see that over there, I'm getting one of them. Marianne, Jesus,
wow.
He's got a sports car. Johnny say, then, Max, you can improv that bit if you want for now. It's like, yeah, look at the size of the thing. I can get all my tools in there and I can fit the dog in on the weekend or something, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So that takes us back to the bottom of page.
And so at that point, Simon, at that point, Marianne realises, but doesn't say anything.
All we'll do there is we will cut to Marianne for a reaction shot. We don't need a line of dialogue.
No,
we'll
absolutely.
see it in Marianne's face. So a lot of this, Annette, is, I know I'm being really brutal and direct, but I'm just a...
Oh,
aware of time and stuff like that. And it's just, you've got to, with film, you've got to show, not tell.
I know.
We just don't need as many words to it, and we don't need to over-explain. And so coming back to the bottom of page 10, you look at an all, I'm only doing it for you, I'm only doing it to impress you. Marianne, how about this as a suggestion? Johnny says, I'm only doing it for you. Marianne, because you've found each other, now you've recognized each other, you've looked each other in the eyes, and you see someone you recognize. Could it be Marianne? I thought you were loaded.
Yeah,
Yeah, like when we first met, I used to think, you're not going to believe this, but I thought you were loaded.
Yeah.
We don't care, because I still fancy him. And then Johnny can reply, I thought you were a Jane Austen expert.
Yeah, lovely.
Max disappeared and come back again.
Oh, sorry.
I don't. It's all right. I don't think he would say, I thought you were a Jane Austen expert. I think he would say, well, what would you say?
Right. Well, maybe what it is. So Max, just to recap, we're on the bottom of page 10. I feel like a twat. You look at an all. I'm only doing it for you. Marianne says, I thought you were loaded. Because you found each other, Max, we were just saying. You and Marianne have now looked each other in the eye. You recognize yourselves for who you are. You don't have to pretend anymore. Marianne saying, I know it's stupid, but I thought I was meeting someone who was loaded. And you could maybe say, Johnny,
I thought you were clever.
You could say, yeah, I've read more Jane Austen books than you, haven't I, in the last 5 minutes? I've read more Jane Austen than you in the last 5 minutes.
Or you could say something, it's the breeches, isn't it?
Well, he's coming to that.
Oh.
I've read more Jane Austen than you in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then
So
then can it be Marianne? Should we go back to the room?
Yeah. Or we could
Johnny
be like,
says,
ride in your van. Give us a spin.
He hasn't got it on him, has he?
We don't know that. Because it's only Marianne's arrived on the train.
Okay, yeah. Should we go back to your room? Does Johnny say, I'll give you a lift in the van. I can't wait to get these bridges off. Yeah.
I think he would not necessarily be direct. It's a bit of an excuse to go back to the room to change.
But they both know why they're here, don't they?
Oh yeah, but you don't say, should we go back to the room and shag? You wouldn't say that, would you? You'd say, should we go back to the room? Just as innuendo, really.
Should we go and get changed?
Should we go and get changed and, see what happens?
And she's kind of taking the lead as well, isn't she? In this little bit at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Marianne, should we go and get changed?
You could say something like, I mean, I don't know exactly what you had in mind that Sarah would be wearing, but Sarah could say something, or Marianne could say something like, you might have to help me get my corset off, or something like that. Like something, she's got this.
Like 12 fucking snaps that it needs to.
Yeah.
You might have to help me.
This is where I think the physical comedy can come in, and these costumes, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you guys, Max and Sarah, to negotiate the awkwardness and find physical humor in a lot of this stuff. But again, we need one punchline, one joke at the end for this. So So you go back and get changed, that's fine. It can either then be Johnny's, I can't wait to get these bridges off. And she knows, Johnny, that you're taking the piss out of her by that point. We know bridges are britches. And so that's why you're thumping his arm, Marianne. It's like, you know, he's gently taking the piss. Or it can be, or the joke will be Marianne's something to do with the corset. I'll need a hand to get it off or whatever. It's either or.
I'll need a hand with me corset.
You have to give me a hand with the corset. And Johnny can say, I'll get the van. Should we leave that open to you, or do you want to?
I like that. Yeah, no, I like the idea that you would just say, "I'll get my van." I'll get my van. Or maybe something like a tool, or I don't know, a screw would be a bit ridiculous, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Got some pliers in the van.
Yeah.
So Johnny can say, "Can't wait to get these bridges off."
Or you could say, I don't know how I'm going to get this. I don't know how I'm going to get this corset off. And Johnny can say, well, I got my tools in the van.
Yeah, bro.
Or I've got a tool in the van.
No, my tools. These are the tools of his trade.
On single bolt in your van.
All right.
Tool. I have a suitable tool for you.
Wink, wink.
I'm the suitable tool.
Well, that'd be quite a nice line, wouldn't it? I have a suitable tool for you. I am the suitable tool. Yeah, but people probably not get that.
I think they would.
Do you want to do another read through, or do we want to go away, do a rewrite, and just do some wrap up thoughts? Another read through or not? What do we feel, actors?
Should we just do a quick one? And just
yeah, it's
Might be a bit messy, but
yeah, it's changed a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't have a printer at this house, so I haven't been able to actually make the notes on the script. So if someone if someone can send them to me, I can read them off of a picture. But
you know, they don't kind of make sense really. So maybe we need to re-script it slightly. We'll re-script it with what we've got and then read it again.
I'm fine with that.
me too.
So
yeah, I think a rewrite. I think you and I, Annette, conferring over a script on a rewrite, get it out to everyone, do another read through.
yeah, I've actually set up a Facebook page for BonnetLand, and I haven't put anything on it whatsoever. But one thing we could do, one thing that'd be useful for, is to arrange times. You know, do a poll and arrange a time.
Yeah, that's
So we
good.
don't have to. So if we suggest a few times, then people can say whether they can or can't make it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Would you be able to invite me to that page or share it with us somehow?
Yes, I'll do that. I'll send you the link and.
Thank you.
And it will be a closed group.
Yes. So, is that a good idea, or should we stick with just emails?
No, the Facebook's more interactive. So
Yeah, if it gets all in one place, that would probably be
Yeah.
best.
Okay.
So you got to all add us on Facebook and then invite us to the group.
Yes.
Invite us to the group.
Okay. And then and then we can me and Simon will rewrite the script, send it out to you, and then decide when we can. When are good times for you?
For me,
For anyone, open to everyone.
to do another read through.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just working from home at the moment, so apart from the odd meeting and things, I'm very flexible.
Yeah, I kind of need to do it next week, really.
I assume that Max and I's schedules are quite week by week. So it's
Yeah,
all a week.
that's the only thing I would say with mine. It sounds stupid. I'm free until I know otherwise, kind of thing. I should get a schedule for next week, either tomorrow or Saturday. So I'll know time-wise then for next week what I can offer you guys.
Yeah, I think it's easier for and Sarah, you're still working at Sainsbury's now then?
I am.
Yeah, you will be, won't you, till the end of the holidays? Yeah.
Yeah, until next month.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion? If you want, Annette, what I could do, because I've made all my notes here. What I could do is I could send you a revised version if you want, just for changing the dialogue. You can make your changes. We can have that discussion. The next meeting should just be a read through, and we'll do it. It could even be a half an hour meeting online. Do people want to, because it's a bank holiday weekend as well, do people want to try and fit a read through in tomorrow at some point?
Yeah.
Half an hour?
I could do that. Yeah.
I can do tomorrow.
Yeah, I can do tomorrow.
We don't know about Emma, but I can't. I've got a bit of a funny day tomorrow. It might, so sort of middle of the day or the sort of after 5.
After 5 would suit me better.
I'm whenever.
Sure.
Well, should we say 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Because I know Emma works and she's likely to have finished by then, isn't she?
Sure.
So if you can, could you text Emma maybe, Annette, and find out, does she want an extra half an hour to get home from work or something? Or
I think she's working at home, so.
All right, okay.
So
6 p.m. unless you say otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, and in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll make these dialogue changes, send them over to you, Annette. You can see what we can have a discussion about what you like and what you don't like. But just quickly before we go, so are the actors happy about their characters now, who they are and why they are like they are?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And what accents do you? Where do you think you're from?
Well, I kind of, when I was reading it, I felt like it was almost a little bit too well spoken from what we'd said about me being quite open with the fact that I'm, not this big Jane Austen fan. I'm not putting on this pretentious whatever. And when I'm mimicking, it needs to sound like a big difference. Yeah. So I guess I would kind of just lax it a little bit more and kind of be not like a geezer. That's not the right way of saying it, but just a bit more, I don't know, relaxed. What do you think?
More of a London accent, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That would be like
sort of.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Where are you actually from, Max?
So I'm from Luton, which I guess would be a pretty similar accent, but I, for some reason, don't speak like many people around where I'm from.
So just push your natural accent just a tad further. Don't overdo it. We don't want mockery or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just working class lad from Luton. Cool. Sarah, where are you from originally?
What, me, Sarah? I'm from London.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I don't really sound London either.
No. Can you, so Annette, from your point of view, what about if Sarah was a bit more kind of working class London as well, like Max?
I think they kind of need to come from different places, because why haven't they met in London if they're both from London?
because London's a big place. And
It's massive.
Well, yes, I know it's massive, but it's kind of.
Marianne wants to go to Bath.
When you go to America, they'll
It's
say,
Mary,
do you know Jane? She lived in London as well. Yeah.
Mm.
it's Marianne's dream to go to Bath, isn't it?
So what accents are you comfortable with? I know you can do a good Irish accent.
I could probably try Birmingham. Don't know if it could hold.
Yeah.
But yeah, that or
Liverpool?
Potentially. I just need one to focus on. Like it comes naturally in bits, not like the whole way through, if you know what I mean.
Just do a bit more North London.
North London.
Yeah, North London. Oh.
You could do a you could do a sort of a working class London, could you, Sarah, without it becoming too Cockney nightmare?
Yeah. I'll try. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so what I'm going to suggest is that because we're going to try and get this film made. We're working under difficult circumstances at the moment, and what anyone working in production currently is thinking about is trying to keep things simple. So what I'd say, Sarah, is if you have time, like between now and tomorrow, to even just think about what other regional accents might be within your reach, but I don't think you should be doing is entertaining the prospect of having to do a lot of work to learn a new dialect, a new accent. But you need to be a working class girl. If there's an accent that you find easy, that you reckon would be within your reach, great. If not, I would say certainly for now, go with a working class London girl.
I agree. I mean, I agree. Even a northern accent would I find them quite easy, northern accents. They're very generic, but a northern accent.
Yeah. Let me just work out a few what I can do, and I'll let you know.
That's it. Just try a few out. Okay. So just my final headlines. I think we've really I feel as if we've found these characters now and found their journeys. At the beginning of their journey, Marianne is pretending to be someone she's not, but not in any malicious way. It's her dream to be in Bath. Her and her mum, that was their special time, was kind of living this fantasy life vicariously through watching the films together. That's what they shared. And maybe mum's not with us anymore, but Marianne is living the dream in coming to Bath. It's always been her ambition, and she's probably told Johnny that online, and he's happy to make that happen because at the start of the film, and so Marianne is going there to live the dream and to enjoy pretending for 1 day, 2 days, however long they're there, to be steeped in this world that she's always imagined from the films. But she's not selling herself as some erudite Jane Austen academic. Other people have read that into her. She never said that for herself. Max, she's a posh bird, and you want to get your leg over with a posh bird. And if she wants to go to Bath, because that's where Jane Austen came from, I think that Charles Dickens might have come from there too, and Shakespeare, as far as I know. But you know what? I'm booking the bloody room. And it's on. It's on, right? And your journey, Max, I think, is that, as I say, at some point, because you're a pretty sussed street kid, you come from Luton, and you know what it's all about, and you've actually clocked who Marianne really is. And to be fair to her, you can see the girl is just enjoying pretending and enjoying escapism, enjoying being out of the big dirty city, and Bath's beautiful. What's not to enjoy, right? And you go along with it because you still fancy her and you still want to get your leg over, so that part of the objective hasn't changed, but you kind of find her and you recognize her for who she is at some point. And by the end of the thing, of course, you've both found each other and recognized each other because you come from the same world. Marianne, your journey at the start of it, you're going there. It's the realization of your dream. maybe mum's not with us anymore. But so partly this is about something that you and mum always said you'd do together one day. She can't do it with you now, but you can do it yourself. But it's the realization of the dream. And you know what? This is, you know, it's costing a bloody fortune to get down from, you know, wherever it is on the train. And you're going to enjoy this to the max. And you're going to enjoy the pretense because there's nothing wrong with it and you deserve it. At some point when you get, at some point during your journey, and we'll identify.
Is everyone frozen or is it me?
Sorry?
Everyone froze then? Or I feel you might have just been sitting still.
There's a point in the film, Marianne, where you realize the pretense of this world for what it is. Okay, it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be, in as much as all these people here are not Mr. Darcy's, and you know, they're not all posh, and they're also people who are pretending, but some of them, like Liz, are taking this way too seriously, and they're not, it's not enough to enjoy the pretense. They're actually pretending to be someone that they're really not. They've lost somehow they've lost sight of the fact that this is just a game. And so at that point, you look to the person next to you that you're with, which is Johnny, and you see him for what he is, and he sees you for what you are. And by the end of the piece, you find each other. And you know what? That's more than enough.
Made me cry, Simon.
I didn't know I'd written such a moving piece.
I want that kind of love.
Bill.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Good. It's about being real, being yourself, knowing who you are. And two young people at the start of your journey through life, most of all, what you want is a connection, is real love.
Yeah.
Is a real connection. And to be honest and truthful about yourself and your partner. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of ideas I had. Are you going to have this hotel that's mentioned? Have you chosen a site for that?
I have identified one that looks the part.
Good, yeah, that's fine, because otherwise I was going to suggest you have a look at the pub at the corner of the Chelsea Road called the Crown, which advertises rooms.
All right, okay, I will do.
Do a good breakfast. It probably does that anyway, because I mean, you know, most of the hotels in Bath are pretty sort of smart, but anyway, that's an aside. Yeah.
No, that's useful. Thank you.
So when we had a discussion about it, I had prepared for Anne, but I'm quite happy to sort of swap over, because just looking at us on Zoom, I'm old enough to be her mother, Emma's mother, and I just wondered if we kind of feed that into it and maybe make something of that.
I don't think I
There's a
don't
huge,
think you are old enough to be her mother.
I certainly look it.
But no, not at all. And I think the fact that you are older gives you that. I think that the parts are right for Anne and Liz, because you're older, it means that you're a bit of an authority as well.
Well, it lends itself to that. It's a bit stereotyped. I don't mind, but I just wanted that to be considered. Yeah.
Vicky, from my point of view, I felt like you were finding Liz as we were going through it, finding the character and finding the tone. And I think you could do that snobbish, very kind of wanting to exclude these riffraff from the precious world of Jane. And because there's a slight age difference, I think Emma would naturally, you know, it's natural she'd relate to Marianne and Johnny, this young couple.
Yes.
I think she'd be more empathetic to them. So
I think she would be. I think she'd be more in the spirit of a festival, whereas I think Liz, it's a rite. It's a certain sort of religious rite that you do at a certain time in the year. It's kind of a fixed thing.
No, I think it's the right way around.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any other questions or comments from anyone?
I need Vicky, if it's all right, if you could send me, because I have to do, as you know, I'm doing it for this MA. If you could send me a portrait, a publicity shot.
Yes, I thought I had, but I'll send it
I
off.
think you have, yes. It's
Yeah.
Emma that I needed to ask. And
Yeah.
and Max, if you could send me one that's a little more humorous.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a little,
that's fine.
Now you've asked for it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little somber.
I'm pulling out all the stops. I've got a red nose under my bed.
And put your glasses on and you're squirting
Yeah,
flour.
brilliant. Little flower hose and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, that's fine. It was just I had one for something that me, Sarah, and Simon did, and obviously was too gaunt, whatever the word was. So yeah, no, that's fine. I'll do that for you.
Yeah, great.
Okay. So, how long do you think it will be before we've got a schedule? I want everyone's that you're back in college, you're back in uni for the last week of September. I'd like to know I'm free then. How long will it take, do you think, to get a schedule together?
I think if we can agree that this next pass of the script on our read through tomorrow is kind of 90% there,
Yeah.
I can get a producer, production manager working on this, and probably so that person will reach out to everyone with some suggested filming dates. So I'm thinking this could probably be shot one weekend on a Saturday and Sunday if weekends are good for everyone else. If not, we'll try and find actors, are weekends okay for you?
I'll say for me, just it really depends. And if I know kind of within some time frame, I can try my best to get it off. I can't see it being too much of a problem, but obviously I'll have to let you know.
Well, we'll just have to put some dates forward and see which suits us best. Because next week I'm going to be concentrating on getting my submission ready, which will mean that I will be looking at costumes and all the other bits and pieces as well, which are will save the producer some work as well, won't it? But
yeah, so Vicky, I would say that probably if we feel this time tomorrow, if we feel the script is more or less there, probably sometime next week, I'd have a production manager reaching out to actors with suggested filming dates over weekends and asking everyone's availability. And as soon as we know if people are a yes, no, or a maybe, we can agree on a filming date and work to that. I'd say, where are we now? End of August. End of September, we could be shooting.
yeah, we don't want to leave it into October if we can avoid it because of the lighting. It needs to be somebody field.
So sorry, did you say end of September or mid-September?
End
of September to be shooting.
Right, okay.
Does that work for you?
I haven't got anything booked. I thought we would all be away then because uni starts in the last week, but as you say, at a weekend. But let's see what we can get together and take it from there. I think that's the best way forward.
And what about rehearsal time and costume fitting as well? We'll have to just work that out, won't we?
Yeah, you will. I mean, that can you just have to use the Facebook to set up the times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be done now. Thank you.
So yes.
Okay. Yeah. I think because of the restrictions we'll be working under, I can let you know, and Max and Sarah, I'm sure, your tutors will be talking to you about what needs to happen with rehearsals and social distancing and stuff. But I mean, there's no point kind of rehearsing this. If we can find this time tomorrow, if we find that the script's working and we know who these characters are and what their journeys are, I'd say probably one rehearsal after that in the room, and then we're ready to shoot.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
I'm glad I don't have to learn lines.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
That's great.
Just on that, everyone, just to make sure everyone knows, I'm sorry if I'm teaching people to suck eggs here and everything, but just to take the pressure off actors, you don't have to learn the whole thing all the way through, because I don't know how much film work you've done, guys, but we'll be filming out of sequence, so we won't be shooting the whole thing as you read the script in sequence. We'll be planning it location by location, so you'll only have to learn the dialogue for those. It'll only be filming those scene by scene, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Good.
Great.
Alrighty.
Well done.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Good luck
Yeah,
with the week, Annette. Bye.
Bye-bye. And
Thanks,
yes,
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
I'll confirm to everyone 6 p.m. when I've spoken to Emma.
Bye.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Annette, I'll get onto this script now and I'll send it over to you as soon as I can.
Yes, okay. Yes, absolutely. I probably won't need to tweak it very much. I need to go out now because we've been in lockdown because we were exposed to COVID. So we've had to, my daughter was here and she's had to stay longer than so I haven't been to the supermarket, so we've got no food in. So I need to dash off and go to the supermarket. But yes, we got the test result yesterday and it was negative. So
Good.
everything's fine. But it's been a bit weird, but there you go.
Yeah. God, wow. Been in lockdown all this time?
We've just been in lockdown since Saturday.
All right. That's okay.
5 days, yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, I'll do it now so that it's off my desk, and then just come back to me whenever.
Yeah, but that was I enjoyed that. That was great, and thank you.
Okay.
And I think I'm quite happy with Vicky and Emma.
Yeah.
Emma is very short, and so I think there's going to be some comedy available there as well, because
And how
of their
tall is
height.
Vicky?
Vicky's about my height.
Oh, so they're sort of little and large.
So there's that's going to look funny as well.
Good.
Yeah. Right, smashing.
Where are you sourcing the costumes from, out of interest?
I've got a quote from Bath Theatrical, but I think those are probably going to be too historically correct. I think they have to look like they've been hired from. I think Lizzie's probably needs to be hired from a proper place, but Marianne and Johnny's, they'll have hired it. They'll have hired it somewhere cheap.
Bit more fancy dress then.
Yeah. Bit more fancy dress.
If we're going for a visual gag there and we want to make a play of it, Liz and Anne really do need to be in the full pucker theatrical kosher. And yeah, Johnny and Marianne, visually, that needs to look more.
Yeah, fancy dress. Yeah. And so that will be funny in itself, won't it? So I'll probably, I have got a budget for this and I'm quite happy to, spend some money.
Okay. So all I'm saying is just be mindful of that. We'll have to you'd need to look at the costumes and make an assessment on visually, will that register as a visual joke? The real thing versus fancy dress. Because do you know what? I can remember a few years ago, I went to a party dressed in a Regency costume and it was unbelievably authentic. It looked great and it was really cheap from a fancy dress shop. So I don't know whether we'll get the visual gag. But if not, I would say, let's just ensure there's consistency across the 4 costumes. Mm. It's either too pucker, too fancy dress, and they look radically different, or all pucker,
just the
I would
same.
say.
Yeah, more or less the same. But I've got, I've approached, as I say, next week, I'm just going to devote to this because I need to get it finished and ready to submit. So as much as I can. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of a submission. but there you go.
Oh, I think, well, you know,